Hi, I'm Tara Antonellis. I'm a level 2 quantum healing hypnosis practitioner, a Hellenistic astrologer. I read tarot and I also do Reiki. This is my podcast. Welcome to Seeking Beyond.
Hi guys, welcome to Seeking Beyond. Today, my co-host is Magdalena, and I will let her introduce herself. Hi Magdalena, how did you come along the mystical path?
Hi, Tara. Thanks so much for having me. Um, that's kind of hard to say. I believe I started discovering all of this stuff in like childhood, honestly,
Yeah,
just with my grandmother introducing things to me and
I love
um,
it.
but you know, more so, when I graduated high school and I went into massage school, I ended up kind of like intermingling with lots of like-minded people that were into magical things,
Yeah.
holistic things.
That's funny.
Yeah.
A lot of massage therapists have their introduction to the spiritual world
Yeah.
through massage. I love it.
Hmm.
Holly is also a massage therapist, and that,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
And her grandmother is
Oh my
actually how
gosh.
she, yeah, I love it. I love
Hmm.
it. So, I know specifically that you went to India. Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
Oh my gosh. So India was wonderful. I went there to study yoga,
Mhm.
and when I went, it was like right after I had lost a really close friend, and
I'm sorry.
so not only was I going there to study yoga, but I was like, going through my grieving process, and I don't know what it was about it, but it was just very. There we go. Thank you. Um, like going through something so raw like that, it kind of like connects you to the spirit world, you know?
I mean, that's how it happened with me and my mom, so I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. And so, when I went there to study yoga and, to get a training out of it, but it kind of like unraveled this deeper spiritual thing inside of me. So, um, yeah.
I love it. Um, I love how your personal QHHT session too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that, but I we don't have to share on the record
Well,
with that. But
which which personal part? There were lots of things that
when
came
you
up.
were an Indian princess and you went and you were by the river, what was that river called?
The Ganga.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. So you actually revisited it because you had been there in a past life. I love it.
It's cool that you say that because I actually remember feeling like this all feels so familiar. Like I feel like the smells, I'm like, this, I can't place my finger on it, but I remember this.
I love it.
Hmm.
I actually gave her a QHHT session, and that's something that we can talk about on another podcast. But knowing that she had some connection to that, I did want to put it out there that that's
Yeah.
really cool that you kind of just found your way back to it.
Hmm.
And Courtney, similarly, she has a tie with the Turkish.
Oh yeah, now she's like this sexy belly dancer.
And yeah, in one of her past lives, she was in Turkey and
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah, I remember you guys talking about that.
yeah.
Mhm.
Anyways, not to get on a different subject, but so you have your own spa and you do meditations at
Mhm.
your yoga studio. Yeah.
So
And
about that?
yeah, tell us.
Yeah. So going to massage school, studying yoga in India, I ended up creating this space, a day spa and then a yoga studio. And
Shangri-La.
and
So appropriate. The name.
thank you, very Eastern.
Mhm.
Um, but can you remind me of the question again? We were talking about the spa and the
Just what you got going on. What do you do?
yes, so massage, facials, aesthetics, body sculpting, um, tarot card readings. Tara is there currently, so because of her, we offer astrology
Yay.
and the QHHT, which I guess we'll get into later. Um, and we also have an infrared sauna. And then at the yoga studio, got lots of different types of classes and everything from like power yoga and like a really hit style sculpt class to deep meditation
doing your
and
flow states and
mhm,
the
yeah.
sound healing, and I love it all. Okay, so I'm so glad you're here. We've been talking about getting together for a while now, and now we're
Mhm.
making it happen. I am going to be talking about salt today in its basic
Okay,
form
I'm
and how
hungry.
you can use it in your spiritual practices and the history on it. Everyone
Mhm.
knows, you know, looking at Supernatural, this TV show, like
Yeah,
then
full
you,
of salt.
yeah, what's it
Mhm.
mean and how can we benefit from it? So, and then you're going to be talking about,
Meditation.
I love it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very broad topic, and most people, their first impression is like what they see on TV, and it's usually like some ultra spiritual person like meditating on a mountain, and
Mhm.
and so there's
Yeah.
just a lot to unpack with that. It spans like all kinds of cultures and
First,
um
since you're already on it, yeah, let's go.
what you gave a tidbit and I gave a tidbit.
Okay, I will go. All right, so I am talking about salt today, and first of all, it is a crystal. It is probably one of the most abundant crystals on the earth,
Mm,
and it is actually essential for the human body. Um, of course, its oldest known form is being seasoning for food, and the presentation of the earliest evidence of salt was in 6000 BC. The scarcity and universal need for salt has led nations to go to war over it and
mm,
to raise tax revenues, specifically just for salt. It's processed from salt mines and the evaporation of sea water.
uh-huh.
And it's a lot of chemicals, and it's used for soda, chlorine, polyvinyl chloride, plastics, paper pulp, and only a small percentage is actually consumable. And the other uses are for de-icing highways.
Hmm.
But the electrolytes is essential for the human body, and uh, the health organization does not recommend we consume more than 5 grams a day. And I know Americans consume much more than 5 grams a day. But not only does salt taste really good, but it is used in all sorts of practices in religion for a long time. And I deep dived into that. So,
Deep dove.
yeah, deep dove. That's
Deep
deep. Yeah.
dived. I don't know. Just deep dove.
Oh, you were right.
Deep dove.
At the time of Brahmic sacrifices and Hittite rituals, I think I said that word and I hope I didn't butcher it, and festivals held by the Greeks at the new moon,
Hmm.
salt was thrown into the fire where it produced a crackling noise, and it's super magical just to see the little
Hmm.
flickers. But the ancient Egyptians and Greeks and Romans, they invoked their gods with offerings of salt and water together. Some believe this is the origin of holy water in Christian
Oh,
belief.
interesting.
Yeah, salt
Okay.
water. That's blessed. And then in Aztec mythology, Huaxicatl, I think I said that right,
Mhm.
was a fertility goddess who presided over salt and salt water. Hinduism uses it in particular religious ceremonies like housewarmings and weddings. In India, it's the goddess Lakshmi.
Lakshmi,
Did I
yeah.
say it right?
Hmm.
Yeah. And Jainism, devotees lay offerings of raw rice with a pinch of salt before a deity to signify their devotion, and salt is sprinkled on persons' cremated remains before the ashes are buried. In Mahayana Buddhist tradition, I hope I said that right. I usually just say Buddhist, so that was a new different like types of Buddhism.
Hmm.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Very
Like
cool.
there's different like sects of like Christian, like
Christianity,
yeah.
that makes sense.
So yeah,
Huh.
but I don't know what that one is.
Salt is believed to ward off evil spirits, and when returning home from a funeral, you want to throw salt over your left shoulder, as this
Mhm.
prevents evil spirits from entering the house.
Yeah.
I like how that kind of kind of delved into, like, we do that today still. We still throw
Mm-hmm.
a pinch of salt over our
Yeah.
left shoulder for good luck. In Shinto, it's used for ritual purifications of locations and people. Small piles of salt in dishes by the entrance of establishments for twofold purposes: warding off evil and attracting patrons. To preserve the covenant between their people and God, Jews dip the Sabbath bread in salt.
Mm-hmm.
And in Wicca, salt is symbolic of the element of earth. It is also believed to cleanse an area of harmful negative energies. Halotherapy is actually a salt therapy that has its benefits for the respiratory system. It opens up and conditions with skin problems and allergies with no side effects. It appears it thins the mucus with the.
Is it referring to like the salt rooms? Like where
Yeah.
they go and they just kind of
hmm
sit in the salt rooms?
Yeah, so it's always had this like natural cleansing, purification, and
Mm-hmm.
healing benefit physically, energetically. And as far as time can tell, salt has been something that benefits us as humans, and our physical bodies need it to
Mm-hmm.
survive. So,
Yeah.
yes. And regularly soaking in Himalayan salt, which is
Mm-hmm.
something I believe so deeply in, can be a great way to remove toxins from our bodies due to the process of osmosis. Our bodies absorb the salt minerals while simultaneously releasing toxins. It also helps to reduce inflammation and balance our skin's pH levels. So, sea salt is the best energetically used from what I know. If you have table salt, it's got iodine in it and it's been processed, but it's still usable for our spiritual practice if
Mm-hmm.
that's all you got. But if you were to soak in any kind of salts, I would recommend it be sea salt, Himalayan salt, not table salt. Just for
Epsom
the
salt.
record. Yes. Epsom salt's great for magnesium, and
Mm-hmm.
that's another podcast.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
love magnesium.
I make the oil. It is, and I put it on my feet every night.
Mm-hmm.
It helps with the restless legs for sure.
Yeah.
And when I don't use it, Jordan can definitely tell.
He kind of like twitch sometimes.
No, it's bad. Like my whole like leg shakes, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's on a
Yeah.
different level. But anyways, using sea salt, it can be a way to energetically cleanse and draw moisture from healing stones that cannot be washed underwater.
Mm.
And also used to cleanse one's space and body by adding it to a base like water. So, literally, like creating your own holy water to cleanse your space and bless it and just remove any negative energy that doesn't serve you. This would be great before doing any tarot spreads or any
Mhm.
meditation or before any candle workings of any of that sort. So, it's just something nice to be able to add to your practice. And salt in your wallet is a good way to attract money. If you put a little salt in your wallet for 10 days, there's like a little something something I read online. But
Hold on, how do we do this? I'm like, if I pour like salt in my wallet,
you
hold
can
on,
get like the
gonna
coarse grain salt, or if
uh,
you even have like a little
oh,
sachet
sachet
bag,
bag.
yeah,
Hmm.
add a little basil in there,
Oh,
little nugget of pyrite, and you got yourself a witch bag.
hmm. Right,
So
right in your wallet.
I like to use salt to actually do home blessings, and you can see it in the religions how it's
Yeah.
actually been held on for centuries of doing just that, of protecting the home and the hearth and
Hmm.
your body. So it's been known to be used around in circles in lore as supernatural shows, but it has its meaning behind it and its roots, and it works on a scientific level. And it.
I love when we can back woohoo up with science
Yes, it's
because
like magic
like
is
every
physics.
person that I try to like explain this to, like this natural connection that we have with source, and how it just comes so easily to some of us, and then for others, it's like
Hmm.
everything is just very two planed, basically. And
Left
then
brain,
what?
left-sided brain,
Left
analytical.
brain, yeah.
Yeah,
But then to like be like, well, no, I'm not crazy. This is scientifically like, you know, it makes a lot of sense when you put it like that.
yeah.
And then, you know, they can't deny it. So,
And it's like the most abundant source on the earth.
Yeah.
It's pure for a reason.
hmm
And
Well, I mean, if we take the woohoo out of it and we just say like, here's all of the physical benefits that salt has for your body, cleansing and pulling things out and replenishing electrolytes, like if it helps on a physical level,
Mhm.
what's stopping it from helping on a spiritual level of like it draws things out, it
Actually,
cleanses things, it brings electrolytes
you know how
back
they
in.
see that crystals have that energetic wave?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
that's been scientifically proven. Well, salt is a crystal and it
hmm
has an energetic wave pattern. And just in the same way, when someone's doing Reiki and you can see that wave pattern change,
hmm
even doing distant Reiki healing,
Yeah.
salt holds the same pattern. It does the same thing as the Reiki healing does.
That's interesting.
Yep. And that, I mean, that's scientific. You
hmm
can look that up. I did. But yeah, so let's go ahead and hear about your topic today, Miss Meditation.
Okay. So, with my background in yoga, we have the 8 stage or the 8 limbs of yoga, and one of those limbs is meditation. So, as far as yoga goes, meditation is like just as important as moving your body for yoga. But the thing about it is that there's different cultures all over, not just yoga, that practice meditation. And so it goes back into that same thing that we talked about with the salt, that like there's if one culture is doing it, fine. But if like a collective is doing it and we're all believing the same things, there's no way to kind of to try to disprove that that's, you know, like
Yeah.
yeah.
It's got its
Um
legitimacy.
yeah, that we're not just making this stuff up. It's like it really works. So so meditation is so I just explained how it is in yoga, but you brought up Buddhism before in your lecture
Of
um,
salt.
of salt, your salt lecture. Um, in Buddhism, they practice meditation. In, I would say, in Christianity, meditation would be prayer.
Yeah.
So,
They
all of
are
these
one of the
different,
same.
yes, and all of these different things are like the spiritual portions of meditation.
Connecting to source.
hmm But when you break it down to a science and take the magical stuff out of it, meditation happens when your brain waves, like when you're, in your active day to day thing, or if you're under stress, or like right now we're having a conversation, our brain waves are a lot more rapid. They're like wide awake. But then if you look at brain waves when someone is asleep, the brain waves are slowed down tremendously. And then,
Alpha,
if
theta, alpha, beta, theta,
delta.
delta. Yeah.
hmm Yes.
Quantum healing.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, those two are very much so. So all of these brain waves when you're asleep, they slow down, and even, when you are dead, there's no
Yeah.
brain waves. And so you've got like active.
Weirdly enough, that'll be a different podcast, but sometimes like you're still alive and
Oh,
like no brain waves are coming, like near death experiences when
sure.
their brain has no waves and then they come back.
Yeah.
They should be clinically dead, should not wake up, dead, 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 but come back. Those I can't wait to get into podcasts like
I know,
that.
I'm like, I really want to keep talking about that, but that's not
Yes.
what we're here to talk
Yeah,
about today.
sorry for interrupting.
I really want to know more about that.
But yes,
So
when
all
someone is
of
dead.
these brain waves kind of depict like where our brain is at actively.
Right.
So in meditation, for the spiritual side of things, we're like slowing those brain waves down. Um, and so we're going from like a less active brain to a slower one. And I'll come back to that in just a second. But also, along with that, when you take the spiritual side out of it, other times that your brain waves become really slow, like in a meditation, is when you're in deep, deep concentration. And that could be crocheting
Yeah.
or painting a picture
Yes.
or People call it the runner's high, where you're kind of like starting to feel euphoric. You
Yeah.
start running and you hate it and you're like wishing it was done. I'm probably just
Something
projecting.
releases.
And
Yeah.
then,
Oh
and then
no, I
after
know what
you're,
you mean. Mhm.
and then after you're in it for a while, you
Sex.
kind of stop. Anyway, after you're in it for a while, you kind of stop thinking about like, oh, I hate this. When is it going to be over? To your brain just kind of like goes somewhere else for a bit.
Right.
Even when you're driving, like
You're connecting
you,
to source.
yes,
Doing the dishes. That
yes.
happens all the time. Or like shampooing my hair if I'm like just lost in
Mhm.
la la land. Mhm.
Yeah. So anytime your brain is in that deep concentration state, it does the same thing as a brain when it's in meditation. And along with that is whenever we are asleep, our brains are having the same brain waves as the meditation or the crocheting or the
I love
dancing.
that.
Um, but they say when you are sick and you're not well, the best medicine is rest. Because when we're in our stress response, like our fight or flight freeze response,
Right.
that activates our sympathetic nervous system. And, it's important that we have this because, if we ever need to like run away from a bear, the
Right. No,
adrenaline in the
that's
body like
mhm.
helps us do that. But that's also because it's considered our survival instinct that's
For
in
sure.
us. And nowadays, like we're all like constantly in that survival mode. And so when people say like, oh, stress can't kill you, like, yes, it can.
Absolutely.
It affects your digestive system. So when your digestive system is all messed up, your body's not able to absorb
Mhm.
nutrients, to
Everything.
have a healthier immune system, to fight things off. And, like your heart rate is high, which will lead to
Mm.
heart disease. And it just
Cardiovascular
goes down the
issues.
line. So if the best medicine is rest, and if your brain waves are the same way when you're asleep as when you are meditating, then, like these theories about like, oh, meditation can like reverse time or it can, slow the aging process. Like,
Yeah,
this is a
I about
scientific
that.
backing of
Mhm.
like, this is actually how it can because
I like the monks look so young.
yeah, yeah. Did you ever read that story or hear about that story of like it was like a group of Boy Scouts that were like they were exploring a cave and then the cave caved in on them and they were left in there for like a week or two
No,
before
but
somebody
tell
got to
me.
them. Well, this is how rumors get started because I was told this, and so I
Gotcha.
might not have all the facts straight.
Okay.
But their teachers practiced meditation.
Right.
And so, when they were all like crashed in while they were waiting on people to rescue them, their teachers instructed this Boy Scout group to meditate and to focus on their breath. And they were able to conserve like their oxygen
Oh,
levels. And
wow.
yeah, and
Yeah, because when you're in that resting state, you don't consume as much air and expel as much, so they were
mhm,
able to. Wow.
yeah. Well, and I mean, just
Same
them
being
not
like locked in
panicking like
like a
saved them.
coffin, like you see people
Yeah.
start panicking and suffocate really fast.
hmm Yeah.
Lots of scary movies I've watched, clearly.
So, some types of meditation, like I described, like, here's like this spiritual thing, and then here's like just, you turning your brain off for a while. But, when you're first learning how to meditate, so like I introduced like, kind of like the background and like all of this idea of meditation, but like us as Western people, how do we meditate then?
Right.
So there's different forms of it if you're wanting to practice and like get into learning like the spiritual side of meditation. And the first one is concentration meditation. So that is when you close your eyes and you concentrate on one thought or concentrating on your breath. So then you don't have the monkey brain where you're thinking about a million things and then the brain waves start to speed back up. This deep concentration focuses everything onto that one thought and then
Interesting.
slows everything down.
Hmm.
So,
I
but
love it because that's not how I meditate, but I like hearing the new, like,
you might
different
meditate one of these
ways.
other
Yeah,
things
I
that I'm
love
about
it.
to
I
share.
didn't even know there was different ways.
Yeah.
So
Oh, so many. So when you first hear about meditation, they're like, empty your mind. Don't think about anything. And
right.
it's like, okay, I'm not going to think about anything. Anything. Huh, that's a funny word.
Yeah.
Words. Oh, I forgot to finish reading my book. Oh man, I needed to return that book to the library. The library, I need to get gas. And you just kind of like And then like we completely forget what we're
What was
even trying
what
to
was I supposed
concentrate
to
on.
do? Yeah.
Yeah, so my meditation teacher told me like whenever the brain starts to wander, bring it back to the breath.
Okay.
Long inhales, slow, steady exhales. So these are concentration things. Um, the other form of meditation is when instead of trying to like focus everything on one thought,
Hmm.
you're acknowledging and you're opening your meditation up. So if you're meditating outside and you're trying to focus on the breath, then a car drives by and you hear the car horn,
Yeah.
then you're like, I hear the car horn, and you like allow yourself to experience it. Whereas
Hmm.
if you and I were like walking down the street and we heard a car horn, like we wouldn't even, oh, okay, there's a car over there, but we would still keep talking and we
Right.
wouldn't be like focusing on that thing. And so
Yeah.
you're really like honing in on that sound that you're hearing. Or, oh, someone's cutting grass, and then you focus your attention on what the grass smells like.
In hypnosis, we put a little um, a something in there to kind of just like if you hear the noises, they are natural, they're part of your surroundings, let
Yeah.
it flow through.
Hmm.
And while they're in that state, if some vase falls and cracks, they don't react.
Hmm.
But I think that's really interesting how
Yeah.
it's like in a state of acceptance. And when they're
Yeah.
under
A, sta-
hypnosis,
a
they're in
state of
that.
acceptance. Yeah, because when you're told like into your mind, don't think about anything, then if you hear something, you're like, ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. Right? Focus on this, and
Yeah.
then that's all you can think about.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Meanwhile, I'm like
focusing on
freaked out. Oh God, are you gonna wake up? And they just didn't even flinch.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's
That's great.
interesting. But
So and then another form of meditation is mantra meditation. And so again, we're shifting our focus. And in Hinduism or in yoga, mantra meditation is usually like a Sanskrit like bija mantra or a seed mantra where we repeat it over and over
can you
again.
like share what a mantra is for someone who may not know what the word mantra means?
Sure. Um, so a mantra is like a word of affirmation that you say over and over. Like when I say like, oh yeah, that's my mantra of like, like I wear purple shoes. Like, oh, that's my mantra. I live by my purple shoes. Like it's like something that you kind of declare and you say over and over again.
An I am statement.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And so for us in the Western world who may not be practicing yoga or Hinduism, but you want a mantra, you can say things simply like, I am enough. I have enough. Money comes easily to me, like anything you're wanting to like bring in, you
Manifesting.
know. Yes. Yes, what we focus our attention on, we
Absolutely.
bring in. So, and I mean that's really the power of the brain, and that goes back again to like the science of things because, our brains are sending out these brain waves. That's why like if you think of someone and then they call you and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I was just thinking about
Yeah.
you." It's because like these brain waves like are kind of like sending out those
Our
signals.
thoughts are powerful.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's science behind it, and I love that
Hmm.
now that the science is starting to match the magic, and it's not so woohooey anymore. It's
Yeah. Well, I mean, public officials are now stating that aliens are real, so I think it's high time that
yeah,
everybody start just accept
opening
it.
their
Just
minds.
accept that we're more than just a two-planed thing.
Yeah.
We're just two-dimensional. Like there's like so much more depth, so much more meaning behind just, oh, it's just a coincidence. Like
Hmm.
nothing is coincidence. Everything is so much bigger than what we are trying
Can
to
even
perceive it to
fathom.
be. So we were
Huh?
just talking about the mantras
Hmm.
and the words of affirmation. If you have a busy lifestyle and maybe meditation is still not consistent form of your practice yet, you write down your mantra or your affirmation or the thing that you're wanting to manifest. And I would put it like on my dashboard,
Yeah, so you
like
see
my
it every
closet
day.
door. You see it every day, and you just, as you're reading it, you're like repeating that in your mind, and
It keeps
that.
that focus on that
Hmm.
intention.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so ultimately, focusing on that intention creates those brain waves, which creates a frequency ripple, which attracts it to you,
Brings it to us. Yeah.
and then ultimately meditation leads to manifestation because you have room to do it and
Mm-hmm.
you're
And
attracting
your
it.
thoughts and words are powerful.
Yeah. So how do you meditate when you sit down and you try to do a meditation? What do you do?
Um, so when I meditate, um, I always start with focusing on my breath. This
Okay.
is the way that my meditation or my mantra teacher taught me. And I repeat a mantra and I visualize as I breathe in, I'm breathing in and down. So I'm bringing light and love and energy in through my crown chakra, which we'll talk about chakras
Soon.
soon, in through my crown chakra, all the way down my spine, into my sacrum, to the earth, and then exhaling and pulling out anything
It happens.
that I don't need and sending it out into the universe.
Oh,
So
you send it out into the universe.
yeah.
Okay.
So you
You
breathe
think about
in.
like sending it into the ground, into the roots, but I like that. Send it out into the universe.
Yeah, kind of like in Reiki, we bring energy in and down, and then you
Hmm.
kind of like take what take all
Oh,
this
and then
negative stuff and you send it back up and out.
I love it.
Um, so yeah, so I would breathe in and down, exhale up and out, and I would repeat that mantra. And then after I've settled into that for a bit and I've allowed my breath to focus, I try to like imagine and feel like each different part of my body.
Ooh, okay.
Mhm.
So you go through each little increment. Interesting.
Yeah, just to kind of like get myself to relax. But ultimately, you
Hmm.
should also, for however long you're wanting to have your meditation for, you should always set a timer for yourself.
Yeah.
Because I've tried to meditate before, like just on my own until I'm called back. And I'll meditate and then I'm worried about the time. So I look and then like 2 minutes has gone
Uh,
by. But if I've got a timer on for 5 minutes and I'm like
you
down,
know,
I'm in there because
you're
I'm not
good.
worried about when I'm coming back out, that like 5 minutes will go by and I feel like I've been gone for an eternity and I'm like ready.
That's awesome. All right. What's funny is I don't do I do the visualizing.
Hmm.
I typically like because if I go to like a place, I feel like my brain tries to create too much because I'm like focusing on the place.
Hmm.
So I typically have started with a ball of light and just watching an orb
Hmm.
and kind of like playing with the orb in my hands and like feeling the energy. And
That's a
then,
thing.
is it?
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I usually do, and then just focusing on that orb so long, like things just start to happen that where I don't feel like because I'm a control freak. I want to control too much, and if I try to paint a scene, I feel like I might nitpick. And typically, when I start to do that,
Oh,
things
are you
just
talking about like the
envelop.
guided meditations where they're like, you're on a beach and
Yeah, so like
feel.
creating like a scene that I'm in.
Hmm.
People say go to your happy place. Like in in quantum healing, we refer to a happy place, and it's something that I feel like I can control.
Hmm.
But when the meditation, when I start to focus on like the ball starts to do its own thing, and then
Hmm.
I don't even know what happens next. It's like almost like a portal
Hmm.
for me. Because if I spend too long thinking about being on a beach,
Yeah.
then I just stay at the beach. It's weird. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think I get stuck in my head by trying to create a scene.
Hmm.
So recently, I actually just did an episode on the Merkaba. What's been happening recently is I've been seeing triangles that have been like flipping and then like doing,
Wow.
and I went over that in the last episode about the Merkaba, and I just find that fascinating.
Hmm.
How it is like a portal. It's like a
I need
portal.
to know more.
Yeah, I will have you listen to that episode, and I explain all about the Merkaba. But
Hmm.
fascinating enough, if you haven't listened to that episode, go check it out, the Merkaba. But yeah, it's a way. It's a symbol you use in meditation from like
Oh,
the ancient times of
symbol that you use in meditation.
yeah.
So we'll just take your thing and
You know,
mix it with
I'm
my
just gonna
thing.
tell you about it as soon as we end this podcast because I can't wait for you to like watch it. So
Mhm.
but yeah, and I just find it fascinating because that's kind of what we are doing when we're meditating, and
Yeah.
our body is like transporting, and it's known to be a vehicle.
Mhm.
Anyhow, thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Thank you for having me, Tara.
I
Sorry for talking your ear off.
No, I love it. I want you to talk my ear off. I want them to hear all they can about it. And thanks for dealing with us. We're a little green and just getting into it and figuring out how this works. So I'm sure we'll get the groove better.
For sure.
Just getting all the kinks and quirks out. But
Yeah.
thanks, guys. I hope this information serves you well. And thank you so much, Magdalena.
Thank you, Tara.